Halo Reach is the prequel to the first Halo game, Halo Combat Evolved. It is also the last Halo game to be developed by Bungie before 343 Industries took over. So in a way, one could argue that Halo Reach is the last good Halo game. But why? Why is Halo Reach good? What makes it the last good Halo game? The thing that makes Halo Reach the last good Halo game is not its graphics or mechanics or multiplayer. It's the campaign. The Halo franchise is known for its notoriously good campaigns with the exceptions of Halo 4 and Halo 5. As for Halo Infinite, we'll have to see. The reason why Halo's campaigns are so good is because of the legendary Joseph Staten. Joseph Staten is the writer for the Halo campaigns, -4 and 5, and is a master at his craft. So the fact that on August 26, 2020, Staten was announced to join 343 as campaign project lead for Halo Infinite, I gained some hope for Halo's future. But enough about the future. Let's talk about the past. Let's talk about Halo Reach. Halo Reach, being the prequel to Halo CE, takes place in the year 2552, before the Master Chief was the Master Chief. Good old Sierra 117 wasn't even in the picture, but who was? Noble Team. Noble Team is a team of 6 Spartans. You play as Noble 6, a faceless, nameless Spartan who is the newest member of this team. In the opening cutscene, the Noble Team leader, Carter, mentions looking at your record, even the parts that Oni censored, and that you, Noble 6, have great skill, but your record shows that you are a bit of a lone wolf, and that the lone wolf stuff stays behind. This is a subtle nod to the prior Halo games where you play as the Lone Wolf Master Chief, a one-man army. In this game, you are not the Master Chief. You are Noble 6. You are part of Noble Team. This concept of playing an almost random Spartan as opposed to the Master Chief is quite frankly interesting. They somewhat did it with Halo 3 ODST, but it wasn't quite the same level because you didn't play as a Spartan. Staten and the team could have easily made a 6th Spartan identity, but by making Noble 6 as anonymous as it is, you, the player, are able to feel more connected to the story. You are Noble 6. You are not the Master Chief. Moving forward in Halo Reach feels like you are moving forward. When you move forward in other Halo games, it feels like you are moving the Master Chief forward. In Halo Reach, it is a lot more personal. And with the addition of the immense customization you can have on your Spartan, and then those said customizations appearing throughout the campaign, the connection is even deeper. In other Halo games, you had the Master Chief for the campaign, and then your Spartan for multiplayer. With Reach, it's always your Spartan. It's always Noble 6. It's always you. Now, let's talk about the campaign. The first cutscene is extremely well done, both in introspect and retrospect. The cutscene begins with a black screen fading out to show a planet. This planet is named Reach. As the drums of Halo Reach's theme rumble, the dynamic shot changes to a closer look at the planet, viewing it from a side angle. The shots change, and with each change, we get a closer and closer look to Reach. Then finally, we get a shot of Reach from its surface. We see a mountain range with waves of heat rising from the ground we can't yet see. As the camera pans down to the ground, we see a smoldering Spartan helmet nearly half deep in the ground with a large crack in its visor. As the shot fades to a white screen, the word Reach begins to fade in. Reach and the white screen fade out into a shot of Noble 6 holding that same helmet looking down at it. The fate of Noble 6 has just been told. A warthog followed by some falcons takes us to a base in the middle of nowhere. We then start to see our fellow Spartans. The sniper, June, is seen first in a falcon loading a magazine. Then we see Carter on a call talking to Colonel Holland about a prior mission. As we walk into the room where the call is taking place, we see a Spartan in CQC armor sharpening a knife on his shoulder plate. This is Emil, and his helmet has a skull scratched into the visor. He is the only Spartan on this team to never take off his helmet. Never. Before we head further into this room, another Spartan, Kat, stops us. She has a robotic arm, which I thought was pretty cool. She calls for Carton's attention, and we see the final Spartan, George, the biggest of boys. This is the team. The team then goes to board Falcons and head out on their first mission. This cutscene tells you from the start that this is not a normal Halo campaign. There are no rings, you are not going in alone, and in the end, you will die. This is a story of the beginning of the UNSC versus the government. The first mission in the campaign selection is called Noble Actual, and this is just the cutscene that I previously mentioned. The second mission is called Winter Contingency, where your objective is to investigate an interference with a communication relay. In doing so, you and the team discover that Covenant forces have invaded the colony Reach.
Colonel, this is Noble 1. There are no rebels. The Covenant are on Reach. Acknowledge?
Come again, Noble One. Did you say Covenant?
Affirmative. It's the Winter Contingency.
May God help us all.
Soon after the discovery, Noble Team is sent to defend the military base Sword Base, which is under attack by Covenant forces. After they successfully repel the Covenant forces, they then find Dr. Halsey, the mind behind the Spartan armor we all know and love. After that, June and Six are sent on a recon mission to assess the strength of the Covenant. In that reconnaissance mission, they find an invasion-level force of Covenant has invaded Reach, and the next morning, Noble Team is then sent with the UNSC forces to attack a Covenant base. After they destroy the base by disabling the outer shields and sending Frigate 318 Heavy in, a Covenant supercarrier appears out of nowhere after destroying the frigate by splitting it in half with a giant laser beam. This by itself is a massive threat. So in order to neutralize the bogey, Kat comes up with the idea of destroying the carrier's warp engine and having the carrier essentially rip itself in half by basically having the middle of the ship rupture through slip space while the rest doesn't. This is obviously done by blowing up that part of the supercarrier. Six and the big man George, as well as other UNSC forces, are sent to pilot Sabercraft to infiltrate a Covenant corvette. On that corvette, they stage the bomb and send the corvette for a refuel course. With the corvette en route, everything is going to plan. The bomb has been set, the course has been set, and now all we have to do is wait for the bomb to go off. We can view the fireworks safely from Reach. But then, the bomb's timer is found to be broken, so now it can only be detonated manually. George makes the hard call and stays with the bomb, giving his life to destroy the supercarrier. Your final goodbye with George goes like this.
Distance is closing on this vessel's refueling track with a Covenant supercarrier. 76 seconds to endpoint.
So, it's gonna be like mine.
Well, I got good news and bad news. This bird took some fire and our thruster gimbal is toast, which means the only way off this slag heap is gravity.
And the good news?
That was the good news.
At current velocity, 53 seconds to endpoint.
Yeah. The bad news is, time is fried. I'm gonna have to fire it manually.
That's a one-way trip.
We all make it sooner or later. Better get going, Six. They're gonna need you down there. Listen, Reach has been good to me. The time has come to return the favor. Don't deny me this. Tell him to make it count.
Little side note, Noble 6 fell from space to the ground with nothing but his armor and George's dog tags, and he got up walking a few moments later. Master Chief did that, but the dude needed a piece of spaceship-grade metal. Damn. Seconds after the supercarrier is destroyed, a full-scale Covenant invasion begins with massive, overwhelming numbers of Covenant ships warping into the space just outside of Reach, with Noble Team's AI Dot repeating the line,
Slip space rupture detected.
Yeah, we're picking up anomalies too. Are you reading
Slip
it?
space rupture
Multiple
detected.
Covenant signatures.
Slip space
Does anyone
rupture
have a
detected.
They're everywhere.
The footage seen of this invasion is so short and panicked that we're already left with a sense that humanity will be overwhelmed by this oncoming Covenant onslaught. After walking off their re-entry from space, as if they fell off the monkey bars at a park, 6 makes their way to New Alexandria, a human city on Reach referred to as the Crown Jewel by June later on. Upon arrival, we see Covenant forces invading and laying waste to the city. 6's objective now is to aid the evacuation of civilians, and in doing so, he ends up reuniting with the other Noble Team members along the way. The Covenant are jamming signals, so Noble Team is unable to communicate with Holland until moments prior to the nuking of New Alexandria. The UNSC was the one who fired the nukes upon New Alexandria. The goal of this nuking was to make sure nothing would fall into Covenant hands. This is essentially a scorched earth style tactic. But when I said Noble Team was unable to communicate with Holland until moments prior to the nuking, I meant moments. I mean less than a minute. 52 seconds to be exact. 52 seconds prior to the nuke going off, Kat is able to receive a hail from Colonel Holland. However, Carter was able to talk to Holland for a mere 15 seconds before losing him due to the radiation caused by the nuke. There are about 2 points in those 52 seconds where Noble Team had time to react to the bomb. The first point was when June said he was seeing all the Covenant forces leaving New Alexandria in a hurry, and that is 19 seconds prior to the nuking. The second point would be when Kat detects a radiation flare. That is 10 seconds prior. However, they really had no time to react because when Carter asked how close, literally 1 second later, if not less, the nuke goes off.
How close?
That close!
So right after the nuke went off, the 5 make their way to the elevators of the building they are currently in, making their way down to sub-level 2, where a fallout bunker is located. In their descent, Noble Team is informed that they have been assigned a torch and burn operation on Sword Base. Exiting the elevators in a hurry, Carter and Kat are talking about the op and why it's happening. As Kat is asking a question, while the team runs to the fallout bunker, with you next to her and the 3 in front, the conversation is abruptly ended. No sound is played as Kat's lifeless body falls to the ground. The shot changes to 6 on his knees, holding Kat's body, with the theme being played. 6 drags her body into the bunker after firing off a few magnum rounds, while the other 3 provide cover fire. The bunker's doors close, and the screen goes black. The theme was at first only a piano, but that fades into a full orchestra theme as a shot of New Alexandria in absolute ruins fades in. The team emerges from the bunker one by one as the shot pans out to show more and more of what used to be the crown jewel of Reach. The massive building on top of the bunker is pretty much gone, and so is Kat. Not a word is said. Carter simply throws out a flare, and a pelican is seen flying in from the distance. The shot fades out to black. There is no time to grieve over the death of Kat, so Noble Team is sent out on their torch and burn off, with 6 having to first clear out the Covenant forces. The remaining 4 get into the base, and are now following mysterious coordinates sent by an unknown source. The 4 make it to the coordinates, and then a secret door opens. They get in a tram, and during that ride, it is then revealed that Dr. Halsey had sent the coordinates, as well as the fact that she is on the verge of a game-changing discovery, but needs time. Noble Team fights off Covenant forces until the thing Dr. Halsey was working on is ready. As the team enters Halsey's lab, it is revealed that the thing that Halsey was working on was Cortana, the current last bastion for humanity. Halsey extracts Cortana out of the module she was in and hands the capsule to Noble 6, claiming that she chose you. She's obviously talking about Cortana. The goal now is to get her off of Reach. At this point, there is no way Reach can be saved. Reach has fallen. So in order to get Cortana off of Reach, the team needs to make their way to a shipwrecking yard where the Pillar of Autumn is stationed. Upon arrival, Captain Keyes will receive the package. Instead of Noble Team and Halsey all heading to the Pillar of Autumn together, Carter orders June to escort Halsey to another military base called Castle Base. Halsey says she needs no escort. Carter ignores what she is saying because his intentions of sending June with her are not for protection, but rather,
June, make sure nothing falls into enemy hands.
I'll do what's necessary, sir. Good luck.
You too, Rifleman.
Carter sends the sniper to make sure nothing falls into enemy hands because he is the most capable of killing Halsey if she is captured. They both are on the same page, yet it went unspoken that the priority was not letting the Covenant gain knowledge as opposed to protecting Halsey. The next scene is the Pelican that Carter, Emil, and Six are on taking fire. Carter is badly hurt, and the Pelican is severely damaged. Emil and Six have no other choice but to jump off the ship. Before jumping off, Carter tells Six this.
Six, that AI chose you. She made the right choice.
When Carter says this, he doesn't mean that Six was the right choice because of how well he's completed missions as part of Noble Team. Every Noble member is an expert in a field. Emil is a close quarter combat expert, Kat was the communications specialist, Jun the sniper, George the demolitions expert, and Carter the leader, being an expert at leading. So far, Six has shown no expert level skills in one field. So far, Six has come off simply as extremely well-rounded. However, in the beginning, Carter mentions that Six was a lone wolf. The team at this point has lost half their members and is going to lose another. Soon, it will only be Six and Emil. Six being an expert at lone wolfing makes them the right choice to deliver this AI. Carter knows that at some point down the line, there will no longer be a Noble Team, and Six is the only one who is capable of carrying out this mission to the very end. So Six and Emil jump out of the Pelican as Carter draws the fire of Covenant aircraft. As Emil and Six push onward to the shipwrecking yard where the Pillar of Autumn is, a scarab then blocks their path. Carter sees this and knows that Six and Emil can't make it unless the scarab is taken out. Without hesitation, Carter seals his fate.
We can get past this, sir.
No, you can't. Not without help.
Commander, you don't have the firepower.
I've got the mass.
Solid copy. Hit 'em hard, boss.
You're on your own, Noble. Carter out.
Once again, a Noble member has died, but there's no time to grieve. Six and Emil press on. They make it to the yard, fighting Covenant forces off along the way. Emil mans a mass driver cannon, taking out Covenant ships to ensure the safety of the Autumn, while Six fights off Covenant to clear an LZ for Keyes' Falcon to safely land on the dry dock. Keyes finally arrives, receives the package, and they are ready to go. Emil has to stay behind to man the masked driver. But then Noble Team goes from 2 to 1.
Who's next? I'm ready! How about you?
With Emil's death, there is no one to man the driver, and with a Covenant battlecruiser incoming, 6 seals his fate.
Lieutenant, get aboard! We gotta get the hell out of here!
Negative. I have the gun. Good luck, sir.
Good luck to you, Spartan.
Six takes out the incoming cruiser and Keyes makes it to the Autumn without a scratch, and then the Autumn leaves safely. 6 is now all alone. And when I say alone, I mean alone. No other human is on Reach. The only things there are him and the Covenant. No one can save him. No one is coming back for him. Leaving Reach meant leaving Reach, for it has fallen. Manning that gun meant staying on Reach. All alone, 6 faces his final mission. As the Covenant ships begin to circle around 6 and deploy forces, the final mission begins. This final mission is called Lone Wolf. This is the most somber point in the game. Hell, in all of Halo. The music used at this point is loaded, chocked full of melancholy. Not a single word is said. You are truly alone. The objective is one word: survive. The sad thing about that objective is there is no way to survive. There is only one ending: the death of Noble 6. You simply fight off Covenant forces alone, with their strength only increasing. Your team is gone and is never coming back. You are the last human on Reach. The UNSC is not coming back to save you. You will die. That's the only ending there is. You can fight off as many Covenant as you can, but it all ends the same. Every other Halo game ended with a sense of victory. Every Halo game had a "you defeated the bad guys, hooray." I cannot really say that for Halo 3 ODST because I haven't played that, so I'm excluding that. In addition, I'm also excluding Halo 5 because no one cares about that game. It's garbage. And partly Halo 4 because the ending leads you on to believe that you defeated him, but you actually need to read books to find out what happened. We're getting a bit off topic. Halo Reach is different. That is not the case here. You lost the battle. There was no moment of victory. No matter how many Covenant forces you took out, there was no way to come out on top. They would only increase in strength, number. In addition to that, you died alone after losing all your other team members. Reach fell. But you did not lose the war. With your death, with your sacrifice, you ensured humanity's victory. Thanks to you and all the other members of Noble Team, the Pillar of Autumn was able to escape with Cortana on board, thus allowing Cortana to lead Captain Keyes and the UNSC to the Halo Ring World, which is where Halo Combat Evolve immediately starts, and the Master Chief's journey begins. A bittersweet ending to a bittersweet game. Halo always felt like it had a symbol of hope in its games, i.e. the Master Chief. And once again, I say I really can't attest to Halo 3 ODST because I haven't played the campaign yet, and also Halo 5 doesn't count. Regardless, the Master Chief is the symbol of Halo and the symbol of hope in the Halo games. He gets knocked down and immediately gets back up. In Halo Reach, Noble Team was that symbol of hope. As the story progressed, the symbol began to fade. In fact, before you started playing, you knew that you would die. You knew that there was no hope for Reach to survive. Covenant forces would overwhelm Reach to the point of its collapse. But a new symbol of hope was passed on. Cortana. And from Cortana, the Master Chief. That is the beauty of this game. Its grit makes the Covenant scary and a legitimate extinction level threat. Halo Combat Evolve made the Covenant a threat by having them take out the Pillar of Autumn, but really that's about it, other than just saying, oh yeah, the Covenant can destroy us. We never really understood the full gravity. We never witnessed it. We could infer that the Covenant were a force to be reckoned with, but we never saw that. Halo Reach's greatness goes beyond just a great story of humanity fighting for its life against overwhelming odds. A story about 6 soldiers, 6 Spartans who gave their life to ensure that humanity would live to fight another day. More greatness is found in the way that story was told. The way the story was told was phenomenal. The cinematography in the cutscenes was excellent. The symbolism and immense detail throughout the story only added to that. The way Reach uses its masterpiece of a soundtrack to convey emotion is fantastic. When the story calls for hype to be built, you'll most likely hear Overture. When the story calls for intensity, you'll probably hear the tip of the spear. And the usage of the piano in moments calling for despair, like when Cat dies, can make almost any of the other tracks sad. Part of the track New Alexandria was used as the menu theme. Let's hear it. That doesn't sound innately sad, but when I add the prior seconds to it, the tone is completely different yet the sound does not change except for the added piano. And when you are all alone, trying to survive an inescapable death, the epilogue music creates the necessary emotion to make this mission seem less like an unwinnable match of firefight and more of a final stand, taking as many Covenant down to hell with you. As I said earlier, the cinematics in this game are equally as great. There are always some little detail that will add so much more depth to the scene. There are a lot of examples, so I'll try and name a few. One of my favorites is Kat's death. When I say that, I do not mean I like Kat dying, but the way that Kat's death was depicted and shot made Kat's death so much more painful and memorable. For example, look at this part. Look at this image. Specifically, look at the lighting when Six is holding her body. Specifically, this light. It's a bright white beam of light at a slanted angle. This imagery is often a symbol of a soul entering the afterlife, more specifically, heaven. Kat's soul is entering the afterlife. Another great example is the first scene. The first scene shows your destroyed helmet, which you see again at the end, fading into you holding your helmet and then putting it on. That scene was done incredibly well, with even such minute details as holding the helmet in a similar angle as to how it was lying in the ground. This concept of foreshadowing, specifically telling your reader how the story ends, can be applied to all types of storytelling. Telling your reader how the story ends before it even begins is a bold move that will often fail. But because of how subtle it is, because of how little was said, because of how little information was given by showing that helmet in the ground, fading into that same helmet, it does not ruin the story and in fact makes it more intriguing. This scene tells you that you will die. This is your fate, but it does not tell you how you die. In doing that, this doesn't leave the player with the sense of, oh, so if I die at the end, then what's the point in playing the game if I know I'm gonna die? And more of, wait, I die at the end? How? This is a state of interest that hooks the player early on. After Kat dies and the remaining members of Noble Team exit the bunker, we get a view of New Alexandria in ruins with everything blown up and on fire. This along with its name, is a reference to the Library of Alexandria. The Library of Alexandria is to Alexandria, as New Alexandria is to Reach. What that means is the Library of Alexandria was the crown jewel of Alexandria, while New Alexandria was the crown jewel of Reach. New Alexandria was likely named so because of how Alexandria is a major industrial and economic center in Egypt, similar to how New Alexandria was on Reach. But more importantly, the crown jewel of Alexandria was the Library of Alexandria, much like how New Alexandria was the crown jewel of Reach. The Library of Alexandria is commonly thought to have been burned down and obliterated in some 100 BC, but that's not the case apparently. I'm not going to go into history here. The common thought of the Library of Alexandria was it was burned down and destroyed. Thus, we are rolling with that. This scene depicts New Alexandria being completely obliterated, as well as on fire. A somewhat subtle nod to the library. Both the library and the city were destroyed, were obliterated, were burnt down, and were extremely important and the crown jewel to their respective locations. My final example will be the scene where Cortana is having a conversation with Captain Keyes on the Pillar of Autumn after it has escaped. Here's how it goes.
Cortana, all I need to know is did we lose them?
I think we both know the answer to that.
The conversation was a full 2 sentences. Keyes asked a question, Cortana answered, and it could have ended there. But by adding the last bit in that cutscene, where the shot pans around the Pillar of Autumn to reveal the Halo ring, we now know that the efforts of Noble Team paid off by setting up the Master Chief for success. Members of Noble Team dying played a huge part in the story. And with Noble Team's deaths being so important, it makes complete sense for each of them to have a memorable death. And not just a memorable death, but a death with a nice little bit of symbolism back it up. Noble Leader Carter was the leader of Noble Team. Captain Carter died flying a Pelican into the Scarab tank. The captain died on his ship, a fitting death for a captain. Noble 2, Cat, was the brains of Noble Team, so a fitting death would be a headshot, killing the brains by killing its brain. Noble 3, June, went MIA. The last time we saw him was when Carter sent him with Halsey to Castle Base. Halo Reach neither confirmed nor denied his death. The resident marksman and relative ghost of Noble Team ghosted Noble Team and was never seen again. Until later on, it's revealed that he got off Reach and helped develop the Mark IV armor alongside Admiral Musa, which kind of sucks to know, to be honest, because it would have been a lot better to let sleeping dogs lie. Noble 4, Emil, the expert in close quarters combat, wielding a shotgun and was often seen sharpening his knife on his armor. The man who loved a blade died to a blade. Noble 5, George, the demolitions expert, died manually detonating a makeshift bomb. The big man, known for big bangs, went out in a big bang. Noble 6, the lone wolf, died alone. The fact that each death played into the traits and attributes each noble team member was known for made their death so much more impactful. Losing them hurt more, but their deaths were so much more memorable. Noble teams' deaths needed to be remembered, and the way their deaths were written made remembering Noble Team very easy. It made remembering Reach not difficult at all.
I've seen your file, even the parts the Oni sensors didn't want me to. I'm glad to have your skill set. But we're a team. That lone wolf stuff stays behind. Clear? Got it, sir.
Six. That AI chose you. She made the right choice.
Do you have it?
Yes.
Say the words, please.
Tell him to make it count.
I have it.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. It's been a hot minute since I last made a commentary video. I recently finished the Halo 3 campaign again, so I really wanted to talk about it. This video took probably over 24 hours to make. Writing the script alone took 12 hours. It's 11 pages long and over 7,898 words. At least the full version of it. I might cut something out, so this might be shorter than original. So far I've spent 14 hours working, so 12 hours on script, 2 on research, not including playing the campaign. As for recording, I am over 3 hours into the recording. Oh my gosh. This is the most amount of effort and work in general I've put into a video in a while, if not the history of my channel. Holy smoke. So a like would definitely be appreciated. You can subscribe if you want. My content isn't always this good. It's mostly decent, kinda. So it's really up to you. And leave a comment down below telling me what you think of Halo Reach. Too long didn't watch? Halo Reach equal good Halo game. And without further ado, Sissy Cat out.